Thank you. As a psychologist, I'm trained to be suspicious of simple explanations for complex human behavior. One is that tobacco use is almost exclusively driven by the psychoactive properties of nicotine. If I had to represent the dominance of this idea in a pie chart, it would look something like this. Now, my first qualm with nicotine is nicotine itself. When divorced from tobacco and the methods used to consume it, and given to people as a drug, it performs poorly as a motivating substance. Researchers Brink and Dar have pointed out numerous examples in the literature. For starters, when you compare nicotine to placebo, things look especially weak. In the lab, it often takes smokers multiple trials to discriminate between nicotine and placebo with 80% accuracy. I'm trying to imagine this with a drug like cocaine or meth. Gee, I think it was crack, but I'm going to say placebo. Effects related to satisfaction and mood are all over the map. Deprived smokers get about as much satisfaction from de-nicotinized cigarettes as they do from the real ones. Indeed, deprived smokers in an unblinded condition prefer to smoke a placebo cigarette over getting a dose of nicotine as a drug. Many of the reported effects of nicotine, like buzz or high, can be reversed by experimenter instructions, reframing them as jittery or anxious. This suggests that mood improvement nicotine users often experience may be due sometimes to expectancy effects. Like when you give 12 weeks of nicotine patches to ex-smokers as a treatment for ulcerative colitis. When the nicotine is abruptly stopped, they experience no withdrawal, no craving to smoke, and no resumption to smoking. And of course, we observe few people form an habitual attraction to nicotine replacement products. Now, I'm not saying that nicotine has no pleasant or rewarding effects for most smokers. I think they clearly do. But it appears to me to be too mild, ambiguous, and inconsistent to form the foundation for such an intractable, habitual pattern of behavior. Certainly, nicotine isn't in the dramatic and consistent effects like heroin, cocaine, meth, or even alcohol. It's not even in the same universe as those drugs. So I'd like to take another look at that dark blue sliver of the pie chart labeled Other. Researchers are generally aware of what these things are, but for some reason have a tendency to wave them off as not being very important. Tobacco users, on the other hand, definitely know what they are, and they like them a lot, as this clip from the television show Frasier illustrates.
What is so wonderful about smoking?
Everything. I like the way a fresh firm pack feels in my hand. I like peeling away that little piece of cellophane and seeing a twinkle in the light. I like coaxing that first sweet cylinder out of its hiding place and bringing it slowly up to my lips. Striking a match, watching it burst into a perfect little flame, and knowing that soon that flame will be inside me. I love the first puff, pulling it into my lungs, little fingers of smoke filling me, caressing me, feeling that warmth penetrate deeper and deeper, till I think I'm going to burst, then whoosh. Watching it flow out of me in a lovely, sinuous cloud. No two ever quite the same. more potatoes.
So there's a lot of things to like about smoking that are unrelated to the effects of nicotine. There's aroma and taste, there's a sensation of inhalation, the sight of the lovely sinuous clouds. You know, smokers tend to hang out with each other like on smoke breaks. It's an opportunity for some positive social interactions. And smokers also do something that we psychologists teach as a relaxation technique, and that is to take some deep, regular breaths. Now, failing to appreciate these, working with a new system here, appreciate these rewarding aspects of tobacco use, non-nicotine tobacco use, and focusing almost exclusively on the rather mild effects of nicotine can be misleading. For example, one might think that by removing nicotine from cigarettes, you can accomplish some serious reductions in smoking. This is a recent result from a New England Journal of Medicine study. On this axis here, a number of cigarettes smoked per day, and on that axis, it's time going out to 6 weeks. You've got the various colors of the various strengths of the nicotine in the experimental cigarettes. I'd like to point out that the bottom lines there are about 2.5% of the nicotine of a regular cigarette. Now, what I find striking about this data is that when you virtually remove nicotine from the cigarettes, you get people to drop only about 6 cigarettes a day. In terms of basic learning theory, this is what we would call a massive number of unreinforced trials. That is, if nicotine really is king, this line should be trending toward extinction. I submit that we don't see this because smoking is also being supported by other, perhaps more powerful, non-nicotine rewards. There's another reason these smoking rates appear to be so stable, even in the face of nearly denicotinized smoking. It has to do with what psychologists call automatized behavior. Humans are especially adept at acquiring behavior patterns that allow us to become more efficient at performing repeated tasks. It frees up effort and concentration for other things. We all have automatized behaviors, driving, typing on a keyboard, toothbrushing, and so on. The strongest, most obvious one is reading. I'm going to put a slide on the screen. What I want you to do is I want you to count the letters, but I do not want you to read them. Reading is so automatized, you just can't stop yourself from doing it. Automatized behaviors have the following characteristics. They're fast, they're efficient, they're effortless, they involve little cognitive demand, and they're stimulus-bound. Stimulus-bound means that when the relevant stimuli is present, the behavior just takes off. You see a collection of letters arranged into words, bam, you read them. Now think about the smoker and how they seamlessly weave smoking throughout their day. They go about their smoking in an efficient, effortless manner, often outside of awareness. But something else is going on. Their smoking has become stimulus-bound to a number of external and internal events. We know about the obvious ones: finishing a meal, having a drink, sex. But there are plenty of other ones, more subtle ones, from having to think things over, getting a sense of frustration, to simple boredom. Now, what happens when you attempt to block a well-established automatic routine? Now you're really in a spot of bother, because you're forced to revert to non-automatic behavior, which has the opposite characteristics. It slows you down, it's effortful, it's uncomfortable, it takes a lot of cognitive effort, your concentration is screwed, you feel off, you feel odd. And it's relentless, because you're putting in motion those very automatized routines that you're trying to stop. This short clip from the television show Friends helps illustrate the point. Now, in this scene, Chandler is a recent ex-smoker, and he's teaching his actor roommate how to look like an authentic smoker on stage.
All right, now try taking a puff. Right. Okay, no, give it to me.
No, I'm not giving you a cigarette.
It's fine, it's fine. Look, do you want to get this part or not? Here. All right, now, don't think of it as a cigarette. Think of it as the thing that has been missing from your hand. When you're holding it, you feel right. You feel complete.
You miss it?
No, not so much. All right, now we smoke. Oh my God.
The thing that's been missing from your hand. I'll tell you that only an ex-smoker could have written that line. And that line is about automatized behavior. Constantly fighting to block automatized behaviors is enough to make someone depressed, anxious, irritable, and of course, strongly want to smoke. We've been calling this experience nicotine withdrawal, but we know how poorly nicotine as a drug relieves these symptoms compared to smoking a cigarette. Are relapsing smokers really craving the effects of nicotine, or do they miss the other rewards? And do they just want to return to those nice, comfortable, automatic routines? I believe in comparison to the first pie chart I showed you, where nicotine explained almost everything, this one is more accurate. You see, nicotine's playing a role here. It has a purpose. But without being combined with those other things in blue, it can't seem to get much traction. Conceptually, most of us have nicotine in the driver's seat. But from my point of view, maybe it's in the back seat if it's in the car at all. Thank you.